Hi, this is Stephen Edwards. I serve as a community disaster program specialist with the Greater Arkansas chapter. And first and foremost, I just want to say if you're a new volunteer joining the Red Cross, or maybe you're a new employee going through your orientation to start off, I just want to say welcome to the team. We are glad to have you, and I'm sure, like me, very early on, that you'll find a lot of purpose in serving with us with the Red Cross. So yeah. So with that being said, today I just want to talk through kind of our two main I guess like statuses or operations that we currently function under that you'll hear a lot of, which is blue sky versus gray sky. So first things first, we're just going to talk through blue skies. So blue skies can be defined as our normal operating functions outside of a large scale disaster, uh, otherwise known as steady state. So if you're around the Red Cross long enough, you'll very quickly hear we don't like to say the words calm or quiet. Those are like taboo words when defining, the state, how we've been operating. But that is the best way to define blue skies. It's steady goes. Everything's operating normally. So I have a picture of DEF CON as like a scale. So like DEF CON 5, like everything's normal. There's no threats. There's no chaos. Just normal functions. So some of the different operations that we do and different functions that we do during blue sky include some of the following. So preparedness programs. So throughout the whole entire year, we have a lot of preparedness programs that we'll do and engage the community in different ways. So our one of our large ones, in short, one of the larger ones is we have a smoke alarm program where we can deliver and install smoke alarms for homes that for people that need them. We also have a handful of different presentations, disaster preparedness presentations that we do. Let's say at a maybe it's at an elementary school for kids to teach about tornado safety. Maybe it's at a senior center or a community center classroom for seniors about how to prepare your home for floods or what have you. So we have so many different preparedness programs for the communities that we serve that we do all throughout the year. Secondly, we have our response programs. So even during blue skies, apart from larger scale disasters, we still respond to disasters. We respond to disasters every single day, whether that be a single home like a house fire, or maybe there was a heavy storm that one home was affected because a tree fell on top of their house, or even oddly enough, we have even heard of someone drove a car all the way through a house. So if it affects, it's more small scale. So if it just affects one or two houses, that still goes underneath blue sky operations as we respond. So the heartbeat of our response programs looks like we have our duty officer. So they kind of act as our dispatch team. So whenever, let's say, a resident or a fire department calls 1-800 Red Cross to let us know that a disaster happened out in the community, they kind of act as our dispatch to coordinate with our DAT team, which is our disaster action team, and they're the volunteers. They're the hands and feet of the Red Cross, the disaster cycle services, where they actually go out, meet up with the resident and those that were affected, and set up a case and help get them some assistance. So that's something that again we do all throughout as well. Next, we have community engagement. So we're constantly trying to be out in the community as much as we can, engaging. One, just to let people know who we are and what we do. Still to this day, I have people that don't even know that the Red Cross responds to disasters. They just think of blood donation when they hear the Red Cross. And so it's important to be out in the community engaging, and to let people know we have services for them if they ever need them. So a lot of the times this can include, whether it's a tabling event at health fair or what have you, even down to something that's really important is establishing and building relationships and growing relationships with your local government. So your, like, let's say your county emergency managers or your county judges, and because a lot of times they can act as gatekeepers to either close or open doors that gives us access to be able to respond in the counties to those that need it. So it's really important to grow and develop those relationships. Next, we have volunteer management. So this is something that's very, very important as well. So 90% or over 90% of the Red Cross is volunteer led. And we've been blessed with an incredible volunteer team that help us fulfill our mission. And so with that, all throughout Blue Sky, all throughout the year, we may have different volunteer management engagements. So, for example, we like to have monthly volunteer meetings with our volunteers, just to keep them up to date on any changes and processes, as well as like what's all happening in our chapter, any updates, any wins, different things like that to announce. And to coordinate as a whole chapter. And secondly, maybe you have throughout the year we have events for volunteer appreciation events to say, hey, thank you so much for all that you do. We're so happy to have you. This is just a little party to say we care and we're grateful for you. So things like that. That's another thing that is under Blue Sky that we do. That is very, very vital. So next, I just wanted to define gray skies. So gray skies can be defined as operations during larger scale disaster responses, otherwise known as operational state. You may hear it. And then, yeah, if again, using the DEF CON analogy, this is like DEF CON 1, like major storms. Maybe it's a huge flood. Maybe it's an entire tornado that ripped through a city. Maybe it's a whole wildfire that tore through a bunch of houses. This is larger scale disasters. So what is a DR? So a DR or a DRO is an officially declared disaster response or disaster response operation. Those can be used interchangeably by the Red Cross. So DRs scale in size, disaster responses scale in size, as well as allow for more resources and response delivery. So instead of helping the recovery and setting up a case for a single house fire, if there was an entire a huge apartment fire that displaces 50 different families, that requires a lot more response effort. So we're talking, now we need to help with feeding programs. You open up a shelter for sheltering because there's so many people are affected. Setting up a case for financial assistance for everyone. Helping with any medical needs, everything like that. So when a DR is declared, it also allows a higher budget to be able to operate and help during those times. So what is a gap? So gaps are important for disaster responses. In short, there are different positions that you or a volunteer can deploy in to assist in a disaster response. So even though me as a Red Cross employee, I am a community disaster program specialist and I do a little bit of everything that we talked about, I may specifically have a gap in, let's say, external relations, or maybe I have a gap in feeding that I feel really passionate about. During Gray Sky, during a disaster response, I want to help with the feeding programs and driving the trucks around. I want to help with the logistics team of getting all of our equipment, all around the state that's affected. Maybe sheltering. I want to help set up a shelter so that people can have a place to stay. Those are different gaps that you can that are kind of separate from your actual employment position. And what's cool about those is there's a lot of room for growth. And in this, so you can deployments, you can either deploy if there's a disaster response in your region or even all over the United States. And what's cool is that there's there's growth all the way up to so you can start as just as a shelter worker all the way up to you're the head honcho for all of mass care needs for that entire deployment, and making and ensuring that everything underneath that umbrella operates smoothly during the disaster response. And that's it's very necessary. So that's something that you can look at and find kind of which focus you want to grow in. Lastly, I just want to talk through finding the balance. So disasters do not operate solely 9 to 5. There's a lot of times where there's a huge fire. Let's say it's an apartment fire, even at midnight, or floods or tornadoes. Disaster responses, they don't just operate. They don't just wait for you to clock in or clock out. They happen all the time, and so because of that, there's a lot of opportunities for overtime where you're working way past like longer hours, and you're clocking a 60-hour work week. And like, man, what is going on? It's just crazy. And so it's super important in this position, very, very important for health and longevity, that you want to find the balance. And so we say all the time that, if let's say you were up for hours helping respond to a house fire, open up a shelter, or what have you, and you're doing a lot more in that season, then find the balance of take some time, utilize your PTO if you have, or you know even if not, make sure that you're taking your time to kind of reimburse yourself that time, if that makes sense. Because we really value your health, we really value your time with your family and your life, and so it's so important to find that balance. And then also something that's super important is to utilize the slow seasons to either recover and or to prepare for the chaotic season. So here in Arkansas, Missouri, we know that spring season is kind of like, oh, I need to mentally gear myself that it is gray sky season, because that's where we see all the storms. That's where we see all the tornadoes. And so practically with work, that means I'm probably not going to book out a bunch of blue sky operations, knowing that we're going to be kind of clocking in overtime. And also my personal life, knowing that it's just going to demand a little bit more of me in that season, and to communicate that with my family. But likewise, too, there's some months, some seasons that are slower, that are less chaotic, and more consistent. That's when I can really, again, it's important to find the balance, give yourself that time back, and to recover, and or to prep. So maybe that even means, if storm season's coming up, find time to really build up and invest in your volunteer roster to make sure that everything's ready to go and that you have everything you need to respond. So in short, that is everything. A huge overview of blue sky versus gray sky and how we operate in different ways throughout the year. Thank you so much.